first thing is approval of minutes of December 15th, 17th, 29th.
Will be approved.
I want to make one correction on the, I read it, on Thursday the 17th, I was not present.
You weren't present. That's right. You need a better recorder, that's me. Okay, so anyway, we'll delete selecting
I wasn't there.
Bramley from that meeting.
And I have a correction that we are the Board of Selectmen, plural, not singular selectman. On here, selectmen.
Okay,
Good on the 15th. 29th. The 29th on the second page, town report. It just says, the reviewed a draft of the board's annual report, so it'd just be smoother if it was like, the board reviewed a draft of their annual report.
okay.
And then we said we were gonna send a thank you letter to the committee for the 275th celebration. Did that happen?
I haven't done that yet.
Okay. The town office repair, so it says the new hatchway has come. So the meeting before, we actually didn't approve a new hatchway, we approved a rebuild of what was there.
Two different things.
So,
One's the hatchway, which is the actual,
right,
and the other
but
thing.
it was said that we weren't gonna order a new hatchway, we were gonna have it, whatever was there, to be rebuilt. So I just wanted to clarify what we actually did, like what was there before and what actually happened in the
Well, there
event.
was no hatchway to rebuild. All there was a cinder block outline,
Right,
and the previous
right, and
administration
so,
never did it, so there's nothing to rebuild. But in Narrow Valley Masonry's previous thing, it was gonna be wood, and now it's made out of metal. So we were gonna put a cover on the hatchway from the start. All we've done now is replaced it with a metal as opposed
like
to a wood one.
precast instead of
Yeah, it's basically,
custom built kind of thing.
yeah, instead of having a carpenter build it, we now have
Right.
the smallest Bilco door in Cornwall
Right,
covering our hatchway.
right, which was what I said, did we review this, could we do that?
Right, so
Okay.
that
I
was.
think John was
that's not-
actually surprised he found one that would fit.
That was that small, good,
It is,
Okay.
smaller than the state, so.
So leave as is, because it did come.
Right.
A new hatchway has come, I guess it wasn't, we weren't looking for a new hatchway to come, we were looking for one to be rebuilt.
Or just a
Right.
cover to happen. Cover
And
on.
It had to be a new one because there wasn't anyone there. So there was nothing to rebuild was the point, but
Right.
it's a minor thing, so I
And
think
It
that's,
is minor,
I think that's adequate.
I'm just looking for clarification of what actually happened there. Okay.
Right. Metal, not wood. Any other additions, corrections to the minutes? Okay. I think we have a motion second to approve the 3 sets of minutes. All in favor? Aye. Next is addition to the agenda. I had two. One is Cub Scout bottles and can appropriation, and second is town report signing. Are there any other additions to the agenda?
No.
Is there a second adding those two things?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, communications. Are there any communications? Okay.
Did you want to mention the steep grant round for communication?
Oh, yes. We did hear from the Office of Policy Management that we did not get awarded the next round of steep grant. Supposedly our applications are still on file. They'll let us know if funding.
And what was our latest round request?
I believe it was for a facade program, generator at the Cornwall Firehouse, and library.
the same things from last year.
Yeah,
Just
it was
got
basically the
three-
thing.
Library,
And the
Library generator,
okay,
over
library
here.
okay, 2 generators.
2 generators, the sod program, and I think the cemeteries were in there too.
The Calhoun
So is
Cemetery.
library and West Cornwall Firehouse, or where was the other
No,
one?
the Cornwall Bridge.
Cornwall
Fire.
Bridge.
Cornwall Bridge CD.
We're doing the West Cornwall one.
Right, we got money elsewhere for that.
So that was the word.
And
This
what was the
afternoon.
third one?
Calhoun Cemetery.
Okay? Any public comments?
Wait, so do we just let that float along, or can we look at what we've proposed and
Well,
come up
they-
with something else that they might consider, since
These-
they've already shot us down twice?
These things happen on a cycle, and so they'll announce when there's a new series of grants. Right now, they have more grants than they can fund, so maybe this fall or next winter or sometime, they'll send out a letter to all towns saying we want more applications, but we haven't gotten that letter, so they're just churning through the old applications until they want to get new ones.
So we can't amend what we've asked for?
No, 'cause there was a
if-
deadline.
If like something else great comes up and we're like, oh, that would be great for steep grant, you can't amend what's already in the
You have to
pipeline, you have to
hold-
wait.
Yes, there was a deadline that we met to put those in, and so you have to hold that thought till next
Okay.
round.
And when the next round comes along, the previous ones are they're dropped through the chute and you start over again, I believe.
Right, and we can send those back in, or we can
Well,
put it,
this is the third round on these grants, and
Yeah.
it sounds like there'll be another review.
Right.
Which maybe will get chosen in the next review. of
But we can't
this
amend
2000
what we already have.
Right.
They're still reviewing what we've already proposed,
Yeah.
so we can't say,
But they won't get
"Got
dropped under
this
this
great
grant
idea,
program.
can we put that in there, can we sneak that in there now? They're gonna say, no, you have to wait for the next round.
If you want to know it right,
Right, okay,
yeah,
something new, right, new.
something different, yeah.
okay,
That's too bad.
so, public comments, any public comments?
Gordon, it was in the Waterbury Republican that there's a round of state financing for cleanup of brownfields and things. But I understand we wouldn't qualify until some action is taken against the Burkhart property, is that right?
I didn't see that article, so if you give me the article, I could follow up on it.
Okay.
I know before we had money to test the property, but until the owners agreed to do something, the DEP wouldn't. They have to have some sort of agreement with the ownership, but I'm not sure what the current deal is, but if there's a new round, I'd be glad to look at it.
I'll get it.
Okay, next is 5-year plan. Highway foreman Jim Vaneke is supposed to come back from upstate New York this afternoon, so hopefully he'll be joining us. We do have 3 members of the fire department truck committee, led by Captain Will Russ. Thank you all for coming. And someone,
Can I just ask a question before we get
Sure.
way further on in this? At our last meeting, so that was last week, you sent a approved capital plan.
right,
Had these approved numbers, so these approved numbers are what was approved at the town meeting?
yeah, that was last year's capital, just to know what was approved last year, and then there's an approved number for 2016, 17 in there, the second.
So
Second
But
one
this
down.
says
The only
approved
one-
capital plan for fiscal years 2016 to 2020, approved line items.
Right, so here's the.
Hang on, I got a second thing today that said approved capital plan fiscal year 2016-20, but my approved numbers are different.
So the answer is, the only one that is in the budget this year is the top, this is 15-16.
Okay,
So these sets.
so
they
shift them down.
Shift them down.
Okay,
And we get a whole new, these are working numbers. These
Yeah.
4 years are working numbers.
okay,
But this year is an approved year, an absolute
Already
approved,
done.
it's in the budget, it's what we're doing for this fiscal year.
okay,
These are best guesstimate, as approved by everybody, as approved by the selectmen, the board of finance,
And
and
the town,
meeting.
okay, on this
And
day.
now it appears that we're looking at
Shift
adjusting
it
them
one section down,
and
okay.
adjusting some of these numbers for the next, as you're saying, we're
based
looking at
on
change,
going forward, okay,
I think, and adding a year at the bottom. And
okay.
then, then the next year we may, every year they sort of get,
Shuffled around,
moved
Okay.
around. It looks like we're taking on a
perfect.
robust plan here.
Right, and the other piece of information that's important too is what actually happened. This is, the 5-year plan is just a planning document that we do in the fall. Then reality sets in when we approve the budget in the spring. So this is the amount that was approved in this year's actual budget.
It's
So
not this.
it's not that. So what was the total there? It's also a work in progress. So actually, instead of $470,000 of capital projects, there was $500,000 in capital projects approved. Slightly different.
So what did we do? We did
2069 truck fund.
I think we upped the bridges, if I remember what happened.
the bridges, for 20.
Oh, no, I'm in the wrong one. It's this one.
Yeah, the one that counts is this
This
column.
one, right? So
Yeah.
town buildings were 20. The fire department truck fund
Went down 20.
was 60, so it went down 20.
Okay, what's the next one? 250.
Road
Oh, bridge and
improvements,
culverts went to
250.
100. Or to 10. Yeah, it went to 100. Okay.
So
Yeah.
this went plus
So this
20.
went up, yeah.
We took away from the fire department to give to the bridges. Okay.
And 15 for guardrails.
And revaluation. And the revaluation was in there.
Right, we added revaluation.
Okay.
So that's, the main thing is to,
And guardrails, okay.
so we're starting, in this year's budget, we have a bottom line of 500,000 of capital projects spread out across town. So then,
And so that was approved at a town meeting?
yeah, it goes to us and the Board of Finance, and then to a town meeting. So this will be on the call of the town meeting on October 30th. Board of Finance will meet, I believe, on the 21st of October, the day after our next meeting.
I guess I didn't realize that. So this is still a planning document, but the budget is actually approved in, no, this is,
That's the budget, so.
that is the budget.
So
This thing
we've
says
already
draft on it.
approved taking 20,000 away from the fire department
That was all
and
done,
giving 20,000
To
to
bridge.
bridges and culverts,
right. That was all in last year's budget process,
plus 15 for guardrails,
right,
plus 15 for the reval. That brought us up to 500, that's done.
right,
Okay, we're looking at the rest of these going forward.
right.
Okay,
And so in theory, what you have now with this one that says draft written all over it, shows the previous approved number, which is the left-hand column. And then there's, then the final, which is not final yet, but it eventually needs to be final fairly soon. That's what I'm proposing tonight. So you have, for example, road improvement goes up 25,275. The bridges and culverts go down 20.
and where are you gonna, what's the thought for the extra 25,000 that's gonna be spent where?
So what I should do is have Jim, when Jim comes, right, I can
Okay.
just tell him, because we talked about it.
And he'll be
But if we
doing
go
this,
through,
okay.
so I did move things around based on conversations with Jim and Roger, and meeting with the fire department last night,
Okay.
or last week.
So based on the money we have in this year's budget of 100,000 for the bridges and culverts and the 30,000 for the coming year, we're hoping for the Flat Rocks Bridge
Yeah.
to be 130, to be around 125,000 possibly.
Okay, so the next thing next piece of paper, is this is the report of the capital projects. This is where we're at right now in detail. So, so that's what so that's another piece of paper. So then, the overview is, I met with Roger last week. There's approximately $150,000 currently in capital projects for Flat Rocks Road Bridge. He did his testing, and I'll tell you about that later, but he feels that the total project cost of that bridge should be able to be done for 180. That's why we're adding 30 to that.
It's such a little bridge.
So, yeah, we can talk about, but I thought as the fire people are here, we'll try to get right into the fire department stuff, unless they really want to hear about bridges. So it's all interesting, sort of. I put little stars next to 3 projects. One is the bridges, one is the tanker, and the other one is the replacing the backhoe. What I'm proposing with help is to go out to bid on those projects on the condition that we'll have the work and the funds available in July, so we can get firmer numbers before we approve the budget. Because we never know what a bridge is going to cost until somebody says they're going to build it. We've got a pretty good idea on the backhoe, which we can talk about later. And the truck committee has been working hard over the summer.
So what I'm seeing here, if I'm understanding this
Right.
correctly, is the fund currently has 280 in it?
Yeah, currently has 280.
Over that, and that's monies over the last year or two of.
Right. Yeah, more like yeah,
But
4 or
a
5
truck
years.
costs how much?
Yeah, that's what we're about to hear.
400,000?
So
Well, that's what they're here for, is to tell us
We might be a little
what,
short.
what it takes to get what they want. I guess, is that what the
Right.
point is? Right?
so let's hear about trucks, maintenance.
Right, so,
Why don't you come on up, Bill, if you want to, or you can
Yeah, come
talk
up so
from
we
there.
can hear you. So it'll,
I'm good back here.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, but we can't hear you on the camera for the people who want to watch
So I
this.
think he turned the camera around.
I turned the camera around.
He's got a loud voice.
okay,
Right.
alright,
you're in the field, speak up.
so, we've been working through the summer, like Gordon said, looking into trucks and tankers and stuff. And, I mean, the cost of equipment these days is expensive. And, we've got a pretty basic idea of a tanker. I mean, through and through, I mean, we're just getting what we need with the truck, and it's gonna be just shy of $400,000. And, with this being said, I believe that it's a 20-year plan for trucks, right? They're supposed to be replaced at
Well, there was historically, but as the price has gone up,
historic.
my feeling is that, like, the tanker right now is in 1987,
85.
85, so it is on a 30-year cycle, so.
Yeah. So we've stretched this one out.
Right.
So one would think that we would have that much more funding for this new truck.
But in the last couple of years, we have, the maintenance on that truck has gone up pretty heftily.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think some of the figuring on fire truck and highway department trucks has to be the materials that the state's putting on the roads.
Yeah, that's a
Just
big issue.
corroding
Right.
everything.
That's basically
I mean-
what's driving the increase in this
Yeah,
capital.
there
plan.
are
Right.
people who have studied the impact on the state vehicles,
Yeah,
state maintenance
So
vehicles,
for
so.
the truck that you're looking at,
Well, there's not one specific one we're looking
I
at. We've talked to
understand
three
that, and
vendors.
the specifications,
Yeah, what the
specifications for the truck that
quoting.
you're, similar to what exists today, different, larger, smaller, what are we?
Yeah, tell us,
Well, the things that we're doing to improve upon what we have, we're putting another 500 gallons of water in the truck, so we're gonna have 3,000 as opposed to 2,500. We're gonna have a pond, a portable pond to match that. Plus, we're gonna be putting large diameter hose on the truck, and we're gonna have a pump on the truck also, so we can run it as a
So the
pump.
hose is gonna go from, you said it's gonna have larger
Some
diameter?
holes, not,
Yeah, it's just a couple lengths of large diameter. That's, you know, the big stuff to flow big water through, just from one truck to another. We're not gonna put hand lines or anything like that on it, so it's gonna be a couple large lengths, maybe 200 feet at the most.
yeah, it
We're
did have two
maximizing
hand
the
lines.
GDW of the chassis, so we're utilizing every pound available to us,
Right.
It does have two hand lines.
yes.
Okay, yes, it is. It does. Yeah, it will have two hang lines on it, but
It's similar to this truck, other than it's gonna have 500 gallons more water. I mean,
Yeah.
this truck's got a pump, it's got hand lines.
Right.
It's very compatible.
and this truck is stored where?
West Cornwall.
are you gonna do a front mounted pump
no.
or a mid mount?
Mid mount.
Right.
Why does that matter? Sorry, I don't know. Don't know.
Well, the current pumpers that we have two pumpers and one tanker. All of them have pumps, heavy or large capacity pumps on them. 1,000 gallons a minute or more?
1,500 GPM on engines.
Okay, 1,500, so big pumps. So the current tanker has a front mounted pump. And it just says, I mean, the pumps also drive, it's one of the reasons why these trucks cost more than the highway trucks, which cost half. I mean, it's like,
Right.
it's roughly this,
Oh, I'm not comparing apples to apples.
right, but I'm just saying that it depends a little bit. It's just a change, but is that change material in the cost going from a front to a mid-mounted pump or not?
No, because
Right.
I mean, the pump's the pump. It would actually cost more to have it on the front because it's just that much more lines you have to run.
Okay,
'Cause you
And,
have
but
to,
what's more productive?
as in,
What's better, front mount, mid mount, rear mount?
The mid mount, we can get more water out of, because
Okay.
1,000-gallon pump is the same as a 1,200, I think.
The
It's just a
bottom.
matter of changing a couple of gears in it, so it's basically the same cost.
Okay, so based on just location and where it is on the truck, it can get you more productivity out of that. Okay. And does that cost you more? So
The
mid mount
mid-mount,
costs
I don't-
more than a front mount?
I don't believe so. we didn't even check into a front mount
I
this
would,
time.
I would think a front mount would cost more because you'd have to run the piping from the tank to the pump
Oh, the
that much
next
farther.
And it's a
Yeah.
crankshaft
Yeah.
driven versus a transfer case.
Right, right.
Okay.
And
And
if you
more
put the
stuff to
pump
go
right in
wrong.
the middle of the truck, the water's right there feeding into it. So it's just that much less you have to add to it.
It also enhances drivers' ability to maneuver the vehicle. The current vehicle that we have, you have to be a very alert driver because the forwardmost portion of your truck is at least 8 feet, probably closer to 10 feet in front of the driver position.
it's like having a snow plow in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Permanently.
Similar.
Is this truck about the same length? Is it gonna,
Little
lengthen?
longer.
Yeah,
A little bit longer, but
It'd
not-
be a little bit longer,
Right.
just because of the
Will
bigger
it-
tank.
Will it fit in the current bay?
We build everything to our firehouses and to the bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
firehouses cost even more than trucks, so. But we're not trying to give you a hard time, we're just
No,
trying to.
no, that's,
Because it is a lot of money and everybody's gonna wanna have these questions, so we have to be almost as smart as you guys when we have to defend this to the taxpayers, not
We're
that,
not gonna make them call you.
right, absolutely. And this truck may be a little faster, one of the things about the old truck,
It is,
Is it-
it'll be fast, have a faster response time, yes.
a little
Yeah.
faster response, but,
You
Yeah.
guys already showed, so.
right,
well, it's spec'd out the same as the other two tankers, and, the other two engines and the rescue truck as far as,
Performance.
performance. So it'll be equal to those,
Right.
not
Yeah.
being the slow truck.
yeah,
The advantage to that is telling a manufacturer what we want the truck to be able to do. Instead of us saying we want a 675,000 horsepower engine for $40,000, their engineering department tells us what we can get away with in order to achieve our performance specs. So that allows us to not overbuild the truck, relying on their expertise, so that allows us to be responsible as far as presenting our financial numbers to you.
You present them, the tanker such a size, the hills are such a grade, in essence, it's gonna weigh this much, and they figure out
Yeah,
the
we-
power, the
15
delivery
miles an
system.
hour up,
17% grade.
70% grade.
Achieved from a dead stop.
Yeah.
17% grade.
Whatever, it's 17 or 14%. It's written in our spec.
Yeah, you
Oh,
just,
Yeah.
That's pretty
Right.
steep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
basically
pretty
the
good.
backside of Dibble Hill.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's.
Right, you gotta go with the backside of Dibble Hill quickly,
Yeah.
or not without stalling anyway.
So despite our best effort, we're not engineers. We can't say that we need a 4:10 axle ratio and a.
No, of course, of course, of course.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's-
yeah. That's what they do, that's what, they're
Right.
the engineers, that's what they do.
Exactly.
And the other thing that's peculiar about this apparatus is it might take a year from the time it's ordered to actually get it, or 9 months, or,
It's
I mean,
around 9 months, most,
there's-
it's probably average.
let's just hear a little more about that, because everybody's buying off the shelf, but this would actually have to be somewhat custom built,
Yeah,
or, and there's a backlog.
all the trucks are custom built.
yeah. When you think about it, when you're buying a pumper or a tanker, it's a custom built truck, because it's not an everyday truck. You know, there's a company going out, they're not gonna be buying that truck to do what we're doing with it. So, you know, they're adding things to it that when a trucking company's building a truck, they wouldn't think is gonna be going on the truck, like a dump body or something like that. You're adding a pump in lines, pipelines, a tank for water. You know, so it's a custom built truck through and through. And then when you're through the process of the truck, I mean, the pump's not built by the people that are putting it together. They gotta get the pump from that company, add that to the truck, tie it into the truck. Then the tank's coming from a different company, they gotta put that all together, so it's a process.
So,
And by the time we get into line with what they've got for backlog, and then a build time, which is around three months build time, I think it was, 3.5 months.
3 to 4.
And, it comes out to right in the 9-month area for most of them. That was when we talked to them, it changes depending on how many people buy trucks.
so it could be, so the procedure would be that we have some money, the truck would go out to bid, the money, if the town appropriated money in the May town meeting, the money would be available in July, but in reality, if we agreed to sign a contract after the May town meeting, it may be the spring of 2017 before the truck's actually delivered, is the reality, which is one of the reasons, I mean, I think I wanted to keep the process going because it's different than other things.
Yeah, it'd be early, late winter, early spring, probably before you saw it.
Where that puts the squeeze on us is 3.0, which is the next engine that's
Right.
in line for replacement, which is coming up on 20 years, and I think
2019.
8, yeah. So, I mean, it's,
And that's gonna be a priority pretty soon. We're gonna have to start putting some money into that truck.
Yeah.
Because the frame is not well in that truck.
Yeah, talk about frames a little bit, because there are magazines and things down at the firehouse where they show you can buy tankers for $250,000 and
Right, those
things
are,
for sale, so let's
those are
hear.
used tankers is what it is. You know, that's somebody else in the country somewhere who's replacing that tanker. And the best way to know what to do with the last one is to sell it. So it's already done its miles for that company, and they're just looking to get rid of that one, offload that one.
Mhm.
Like in the country where Midwest, South,
Florida.
I mean, yeah, in the magazines, they're from all over the country, Canada, Mexico,
The
things like
trouble is
that.
that areas that have the nicer weather that may have a nicer truck are mostly flat, so the truck may not perform to what there's a performance issue too.
right?
I've seen that happen where people bought a truck for a reasonable price and it turned out to be a flatland truck that wouldn't go up the hills.
But
I mean, it's all,
the thing to look at is if we're gonna be buying a used truck out of a magazine, then why even look into replacing the one we got? We
No, I was
have a
assuming
used truck in the firehouse.
Because you have that already.
Yeah, And there's no real huge issue with that truck yet,
Which truck are we talking
the
about?
tanker.
Well, that's already had some work done to it.
It's had a little bit, but nothing major, you know, and we're going on 30 years with this truck. It
Catastrophic failures.
doesn't see a whole lot of road time, so that's cut back a little bit. So the stuff we've had to work on is just the wear and tear over the years.
But that's the one you're looking to
With
replace.
this one we're looking to replace now.
What are you
And
gonna
then
do with that one? Are you gonna try to sell it, get some money?
It's something we haven't really discussed yet. There's talk about putting that down in Cornwall Bridge and keeping two
Right.
tankers, so that way
Yeah.
we have that much more water on the road. And then some want to sell it, so it's just something that's gotta be decided
And that's how
when
old?
we get there.
Sure.
That's in '85, so it's gonna be 30 years
Right.
here.
That was before I graduated high school.
Yeah, but it's still running strong. So my goal would be, if we spend more money, is to spend something that potentially could last another 30 years.
Right.
And not be, I mean, 20 years was the standard, but as we're talking $400, 400,000 a shot, I can understand some trucks, if you have a truck that's worn out at 20 years and one that's not worn out at 30 years, that's more important than the actual calendar,
It's
in my mind.
it'll
Yeah.
be easier to keep a tanker longer than it would a pumper because,
Right,
like I
it's
said,
not
the
out.
tanker is not going out as frequently as the pumpers or
Yeah.
rescue truck or anything like that. It spends most of its time sitting.
Our biggest enemy right now is the corrosion.
Right, that's what I was just gonna ask. So is it a problem if it goes out in the summertime?
It's less of
Or
a
the problem is if it goes out in the wintertime and you're dealing with whatever the state puts on the roads
Are
and
you
that's
saying
what's
corrosion?
corroding the vehicle?
But corrosion from road salt or
The salt
corrosion
or
from
whatever it
the
is that
water
they
in the
use.
tank itself?
No,
With this material that they're using on the road, when they put it out, when you drive, just like when you follow the guy in front of you, you're surrounded in a fog of what they're generating from this. That's going into every opening, creek, crack and crevice,
Sure.
electrical component on these vehicles. So the vehicles that we have right now, when they were put in service 20 years ago, they were certainly designed to go the distance. The corrosion is really what's accelerating us here. We'd love to stretch this out to 30 years with 3.0.
Yeah.
And if we didn't have these bugs that show up when you arrive on scene and expect your apparatus to perform,
I mean, we got problems
Well-
at 15 years old that we shouldn't have.
that we should correct.
Shouldn't be
Right.
dealing with till 20 or 25.
We've already put, this past winter, we put springs in the truck, 2 sets of springs. And for a truck that has less than 100,000 miles, that's
Huh.
not.
How many miles does it have on it? Do you know?
It
can't have
Don't quote
any-
me on this, but I think it's 55,000
On tanker?
on 3.0.
Oh.
3. Really? I'd be surprised if it's that much.
Yeah, it has a little bit more miles than the rest of them, but I think it's 55, and we've already put springs on it.
3.0 is in Cornwall Bridge or West
That's in
Cornwall?
Cornwall Bridge, and that's the next one in line to be replaced.
Right. So as we go down there, we have that going in the next 4 years.
And just when we bought 2.0, and that was in 2009, that cost 3.25.
Right.
And it's, now we're going 10 years down the road, we can expect that to be almost 375 now, probably for that same truck.
Mhm.
Yeah, easy. Now with the new diesel regs coming in, it's gonna go up
And-
again.
That's getting the same truck, that's not even if we look into improving on better firefighting systems and pumping apparatus, which will cost even more money.
So if we look at what we approved in 2015-16, they're short 120,000 for the tanker that they need now.
Right now, we
Right.
have, right now, there's
You said there was
200,
280 in it,
280.
they need
Right.
400.
Right,
they-
well,
I
let's
don't
go
think we
back
know- I don't think they know
well,
exactly what they
Right,
need.
I mean, I've heard
They may need
375,
380,
something like
whatever.
that.
They need-
375,
Sorry, they need
400.
100.
Yeah.
But you don't know that until you go out to bid, which is why I said what we should do. In my feeling, and also when I went to the officers meeting, I felt that seeing all this going out here was gonna be a lift for the town. So I broached the idea of having the department do some fundraising for this truck, as we do have 2 fundraising cycles before this thing actually gets delivered.
And they do fundraising for their trucks, or is it just for
The ambulance historically.
ambulance and running
Other.
of the department itself?
Other things, yes.
So they're gonna have their normal ambulance and running of the department fundraiser, plus we wanna have them run another fundraiser.
No,
To fund this
they
tanker.
basically do a fundraising letter. In that letter, they ask for town solicitations. That's basically how they've raised a lot of money for the ambulance.
For the ambulance.
If the ambulance is satisfied this year, if there's money left over this year, next year, it's a potential to put that into the truck.
Then they can use it, but, okay.
So let's move to review the timeline that you were saying.
Right,
Because you're talking, there's quite a timeline here, it's a complex timeline.
right, so let you write it down.
Yes,
So what
there's
happens
a
is-
timeline between what we have to.
Right. So what I would
Fund
propose is
project.
that because everybody doing the same thing is in the same position. They have to go out to bid, and then they get the truck a year later or something like that. So what I would propose is the department go out to bid. When do you think you're gonna have a final spec? Because that has to be approved by the department and everything else.
That's not that far in the future.
Right, so-
When do you need the hard number by?
I mean, we would like to have a hard number by February.
So we would need to go out to bid in January or
In January.
late December.
Right.
Right.
And we've done this before, that with the contracts can't be signed until the town comes up with the whole money. And then we'll find out what the department's fundraising capacity is. We have some things that are working in our favor financially for the town, and we have other things that aren't working in our favor. So, but what we do is we pretty much finalize our town budget in March. So if we have a hard number for these bridges, for the backhoe, for the fire truck, then we can see, yeah, we did well on this, we need more money for that. So
Right,
my
but you'd have to be able to sign the contract within 60 days of the bid.
So if we go out to, so if I'm, to reiterate, to recap, you bid, go out to bid on January of 2016. You get a hard number in February of 2016. We go to the town budget
Yep,
in May of 2016, knowing we're 20,000 short, 40,000 short, 50, whatever the number is, and that's what we have to plug into the budget. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
right.
And that, we would have, at that time, we'd have the 280 plus 65, which is
65 plus,
345,
right.
plus possibly some fundraising.
But, yeah, so you're saying we're short based on what? Based on budgeting numbers, or based on what they were able to raise in fundraising?
Yeah, well, our fundraiser's a big question. What do we,
Right, and what's is there a town responsibility to fund the
No.
fire department?
Some
Since they
fi-
don't
some-
charge us, like we're not
What?
writing them a check, they don't work for us, kind of thing? Like if we were to hire a fire department?
In Litchfield County, some fire departments are entirely self-sufficient and get no town funds.
Just them, so they're volunteer?
Yeah,
And they
like some places
fundraise
put
like
on a
crazy
big
and
fair
they
or
can
something,
take-
and
okay.
they do so well,
Yeah.
they don't have to use
Okay.
taxpayer dollars.
most of them have a fire tax though.
Some of them have a fire
You can tell
tax.
the difference between
It's
a
what,
town-funded department and a non-town by what it's called. Like we're Cornwall Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay,
You go over to Canaan, it's Canaan Fire Company. You go over to
okay,
Lakeville, it's Lakeville Hose Company.
okay,
You go
good
to
to
Sharon,
know.
it's Sharon
Yeah.
Volunteer Fire Department.
right,
The department tells you it's a town entity.
It's a town entity. But so like Canaan, they're not a town entity,
They're not.
they just do, they don't even ask the town for any?
The town gives them enough, or gives them money, I should say,
They
but
ask the
that
town
goes
for
into
money.
the
and then-
retirement fund.
Oh, so it's not
that's
for the
even
department itself?
dealt with the company at all.
Okay,
Every money that they take in and spend out is all raised, donated. and
do they get anything
so on and
for,
so
I mean, they have a fire district too, do
So
they get
that's
anything for
the-
the
The
fire
fire
district?
district,
The fire
that's
district,
the
yeah.
fire district.
railroad days.
Right, but they
all
don't,
that.
so basically, Canaan Fire
The fire-
Company raises all this,
The fire
all their
district
money
tax goes towards the fire district. That
for the
themselves.
hydrants or whatever
Yeah,
else.
that pays for the hydrant work and all that. But the fire company, they do fundraising throughout the year. You know,
Right.
we have railroad days, we do boot drives, we do a
Carnivals.
solicitation
Carnival.
letter. You know, well, part of railroad days is the carnival,
Mhm.
and then we get donations.
So then if we're a volunteer fire department, then what's our responsibility and what's their responsibility? What do we pay? What are
There's
we
no-
supposed to pay for? What are they
There's
supposed
no,
to pay for?
there's no standard. It's all over the place in Litchfield County.
Yeah, but what is our standard? Like, what is it that we do?
Well, I think
In the past, we've been very, I'd say we probably have one of the best equipped, best funded, municipally funded fire departments for a town our size in Connecticut. I mean, we've always been very generous with our funding. My feeling is I'd rather have the department and the ambulance train more than fundraise.
So would I,
if-
but we're
if-
asking them now to come
Right.
up with $30,000 that.
We're suggesting that it would be good if the department contribute. If it doesn't happen, then the fallback is the town. If it happens, great. They may say we want to keep it ourselves. But I think if we put $400,000 in the plan, the truck will cost the taxpayer $400,000. If we look at fundraising, if we look at competitive bids, maybe we'll get it for less than that, for what we want. And then we won't really know what that number is until we get a bid.
because one of the things, when you put it out to bid,
They'll say, how much money you got?
the bidders are gonna say, how much money do you have? Right?
Well, that's like every car dealership, you don't
Yeah,
start
no,
there.
we're
How much do you wanna
starting
spend?
But
No, no, no.
it-
How much is it gonna cost?
The different companies that make the trucks, they're all within $15,000-$20,000 of each other when they come in and bid. They're all pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that,
I mean, we also looked into, we got one of the prices that's coming for stainless steel body instead of aluminum or steel, because stainless will hold up better against the corrosion. What the cost difference is, I'm not sure yet, because we didn't get those numbers.
Right.
But we looked at some options of trying to extend the life.
Mhm.
that's great. I know that I get the appeal letters more than once a year. Sometimes it's for the ambulance, which you guys are responsible for. But I assume even if you're sending out appeal letters every year for an ambulance donation, it's because you're thinking ahead.
Mhm.
Okay, this ambulance in 10 years, we're gonna have to replace, it's gonna cost us
230,
250,
240,000.
300, whatever it's gonna be, because I'm sure the price doesn't go down
No.
as we're going along, but so you're already saving up for that, so you have your coffers here that says, okay,
Right.
we have this much money in the bank, when this ambulance dies, we can buy a new ambulance.
Right.
Even if our next appeal or the economy goes down or whatever happens,
Right.
you're
Theoretically,
still gonna have that savings
Right.
account, so you're good to go for the next 10 years.
Right, that's what they're, typically done.
But
is
now-
the ambulance has been bought by us and the trucks have been bought by the town, except for, the pickup we bought, the boat we bought,
Right.
stuff like that, but the major pieces.
But under this proposal, now we're asking them to fundraise another 30,000?
We're suggesting.
We're
I mean, I don't think
suggesting-
there's nothing hard.
Asking, suggesting,
Well, I know, but by the same token, if they could.
but are we gonna put it into the capital budget so that if it doesn't happen, the money is there and it can come from
The
somewhere?
money comes
think
at the
that's-
budget time once we get everything figured out.
That's what the
Well,
timeline's about.
the big
Okay.
deal is if we need to put it out to bid,
Right.
they said approximately a month before you need the number. And that, when you need the number, needs to be 2 to 3 months prior to being able to sign a contract.
Right.
Otherwise, that quote is no longer valid, and the price is gonna go up again.
So
Right,
again,
but they probably have dealt with all this before, that they know you've got to
I'm
budget.
saying, they only
things.
guarantee the price
Right.
for 60 or 90 days or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and
Right.
But then they still have to come up with they have to be thinking, because of the nature of the beast, they have to be able to project what they can produce it for a year from now. So if it's 15 months, a year, they should be able to get us something workable.
Yeah, they can usually tell us.
Somehow, I would think if push came to shove and the timing is a little off and the town meeting isn't gonna approve the money and it's gonna be 98 days, you could somehow, I would think, unless they think unless they felt,
We can always hope, we can't guarantee it,
Yeah,
but
Right,
we
I'm
sure
would
they
hope
would.
that they, yes.
Hold
Right.
them over 8 days.
Yeah.
that they would hold it over.
You can always go out to bid again.
Yeah, right, it's cost them money again, so.
Yeah.
To answer.
But we're still saying, okay, you are sending out your appeal letter every year for your ambulance and for your whatever other cost that it is, but now, we're also gonna use this money for a tanker truck that people
Right.
already think they're paying for in their taxes based on our capital budget, but it's actually not. We're actually asking them to still kick in another
Yeah, but
30
I
grand.
found also over time that some people in town that have means will give a donation.
Because they think
because
that
they
it
can.
goes to their department above and beyond. Not
Because-
that it's supplementing what
I think,
what they're already paying taxes on is not paying, it's not above and beyond, it's because of. I think that's part of that different argument there.
if people don't wanna give, they don't have to give. If they
No,
want
I
to
know,
give,
but I think
if it's
that
not a
when
bid-
they give, it's what they think they're giving to.
well, that's the point of the letter to explain what
different
it's going
story.
for.
Well, I guess they could say that in the
Right,
in the
so you
letter,
could-
this is not above and beyond what you're paying in your taxes. This is in, in spite of.
So I have a question. Assuming that you're able to find a bid for the specifications you want
Mhm.
at a price that you feel comfortable with, and that ultimately the town supports and approves at whatever level necessary to fund the part that's not funded in some other way. So therefore, we're a tanker showing up with, that's costing whatever it's costing. Continuing forward on that, I see on the capital projects, and what you're also discussing was 3.0, at $400,000 to replace that truck.
Mhm.
That truck won't get replaced for several years.
That's the other issue.
Right.
Correct.
So that's, at least 4 years. I mean, based on the fact if it's close to $400,000, again, it's gonna take that long to build up the capital. I think I'm saying this correctly.
Yep.
Is 3.0,
And so we got
the-
30, 70,
I mean, I'm not in the
110,
truck department.
185.
Is 3.0 have more need than the tanker? The tanker's probably more critical. The tanker's more critical, I would think.
Well, when you break it down and you look at it and you think about it, this new tanker should already be parked in the West Cornwall Firehouse, and we should be sitting here talking to you guys about getting some more money going for 3.0.
For 3.0. You're already a year
For
behind.
that. We should already have the tanker done.
Well, I know, but
we stretch that out,
right.
not planning, not thinking about, well, what's gonna happen with 3.0, and now we're starting to look at 3.0, and it's in bad shape. That, when it needs to come due in 2019, it's gonna need it. Or we might as well forget buying a new one and just think about putting a whole new frame underneath the truck, because it's not gonna be there.
3.0 is more critical than the tanker.
Yeah.
As far as if you're putting stuff in line.
If we're gonna take on a service.
Right. If you were to throw one away, or whatever you want, however you want, it sounds stupid, but
let me,
it is front line, it gets more mileage, it gets more use. The two pumpers, 3.0 and 2.0, are probably the most used.
responsibility.
Right,
Right.
they're the first truck there.
And those costs,
It's gonna be pulled up in the same neck of the woods, 380 to 400.
Yeah, but
and this plan has us at 185 in 4 years.
No, it's up at 365 in 4 years.
How do you?
How do you get that? You got 80, 80,
Yeah, but
95,
this-
and 100.
This 80's going to the tanker that we're
No.
already 20,000 short on.
The 4 years following the current year.
Right. So, I have to add another year. So that's which number?
I mean, it's a difficult thing to squeeze through. It's a lot of money.
So that gets me to
We're
285
talking 2
on a
vehicles.
$400,000 truck.
It's
Well, it's hard when you've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of equipment, the 2 pumpers and the rescue truck that are on 20-year cycles.
Right.
It's very easy to put it in the budget. But then you throw the one truck that's on a 30-year cycle in the mix of it, and when that one falls in, it interrupts your your course, if you wanna call it
I mean,
that.
we all have the same issue making household budgeting decisions, and
Correct.
it's just, it's a difficult thing. We have to figure out a way to do it, and that's why we're having a discussion. It's not a, I don't think it's in any way adversarial.
No.
We're all trying to figure out
Just
how
wanna
to.
make
No,
sure
no,
the
but
money
this-
is there when you come down to the end point, but we're
Right.
still, after these 5 years, we're still at 285 for a $400,000 truck.
It's much easier to figure it out now than to say you need 200,000.
You're
And
not
this
doing the
discussion
math
didn't
right.
just start in the last 12 months. This has
What?
been a cycle that we've been
80,
looking at for,
95.
if we're coming up on 3.0 at 20, for 20 years, we've been
Need a
looking
ruler?
at this.
You need to do this one. You need to do this one, not that one. This is the new
Replacement
one that
schedule.
we're working
Yeah,
on.
but this starts the same, it starts here, so I just need to add these 4 plus this one.
Not this one, the numbers have changed already. They're in this, not this column,
If you look on,
this column.
if you look at the plan, everything says CF other than the first 2016 and 17, which says tanker. So the assumption is we're gonna get the tanker paid for in the 2016, 2017 budget.
Okay,
Then we go into 3.0, which first year is 80,000, second year is 80,000, third year is 95,000,
80.
Third
80,
year
95.
is 100,000, so you get up to 350.
80,
okay.
95.
Need the
100.
same font would help.
You have this going into 2020, 2021 budget for
Right.
Trio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really needs to be a year before that.
This tanker, okay.
Because we're almost gonna be double paying for a truck, because we're gonna need to do something with that frame soon.
Right.
And that's no cheap project.
Yeah, I was just going by the vehicle years that I had from the insurance company is year 2000.
That's a 2000?
Yeah.
It's closer.
No, it's a 99 chassis.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
that's where I got
Which
the
is
99.
on the 300.
The 3.0 is a 2000 year. And, Torrington went through this where what happened, they rusted out their aerial ladder.
Yeah,
All of a sudden,
cracked it
things
down.
happen,
Yeah.
so. And again, if it becomes unworkable, that's something else. 2 years, 3 years down the road, we can probably absorb that quicker.
You would hope.
Right,
We don't know the whole extent of how bad that
right.
frame really is.
And that may be, that
'Cause-
may go from routine budgeting into an emergency situation of, spending $120,000 for a new chassis. Of course, the other thing we gotta think about too, if we're doing these kind of things, we're almost talking between $1 and $2 million worth of rolling stock. What is the maintenance and the stuff, whatever we can do, somebody was talking animal fat or whatever they put on it. Now, I mean, all the town trucks have Jim has 5-gallon pails of the fluid that they're spraying on them. And I think I talked to Fred, and he said when they go down for maintenance, they get sprayed every year. Is it too late?
That was just something they did just this last
Right.
year.
That was a
Yeah.
band-aid.
So this whole salt ice issue,
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
caught
sure
everybody by
because
surprise.
I've heard differing opinions. I've heard one say that once that stuff gets in the metal, there's no getting rid of it, there's no neutralizing it, it's there, you're
Right.
done. It's gonna start eating and keep eating. So it's your original protection when you
Yeah.
buy the vehicle is gonna be your most critical, and then keeping that up, like you said, whether it's with whatever type of stuff they use on them.
Yeah.
What that cost is, I don't really
Right, but
know.
it's not much, I mean, it's a couple $100 a truck per season
Yeah.
to treat it,
Well,
but
the thing
once
is, it depends on when you put it on too. I mean,
Right.
when we get our trucks serviced, what, March, April, something
Right.
like that.
Usually in the springtime, yeah.
Right, you got all spring and summer and fall. That stuff that they put on there is just
Right.
sitting there, it's going through the rain, it's going through this, it's going through that. It's not really gonna be there come winter time.
Unless we can,
Right, and if you
looking at
can-
getting it done in somewhere in the fall somehow, I don't know. It's something we can check into.
Right.
The other issue is the way our vehicles are stored accelerates the corrosion process. The real solution here is to not use what we're using on the roads. That would be the ideal
Right.
solution. Not logical, but the fact that our vehicles.
It's very logical.
Stored in warm temperature.
Right.
You're stored in warm temperature.
Yes, they're stored in warm temperature, accelerates the whole process. So we're not only fighting the material, we're also fighting the elements by protecting.
And you have
So
to
actually,
keep it warm
we should take our firehouse down and leave them outside.
You could, but then the water would freeze and.
Right, that'd be another problem.
Is there a way to turn the temperature down in the?
It is down, but
Right,
No,
but like they're
it-
saying you
would-
don't wanna freeze the water.
No, I understand
In
that,
the
I understand
truck.
that, but there's something between, I mean, I don't know what, if they're
Well,
stored
the salt and
40 or
magnesium that they put on the roads that activates in any temperature above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which you see what it does to snow, which is the same thing it's doing to your vehicle. So anything above 32 degrees, it's working.
right.
You keep a firehouse at 55 degrees, it's really working. You keep it a little bit hotter because you have a meeting going on, it's working that much more.
We have to keep our ambulance at, what, 60,
Yeah, 60 degrees.
60.
It's stressed so much
And
after
And
the
that's
fall
still cold.
It has
to
to keep warm.
sit there and wash these trucks
That's not
to
even
try and
warm.
get that stuff off, but,
Backward.
you know, you can't get everywheres on that truck, because you can't get underneath.
Yeah, but I've heard too that washing it is even worse than
It does, it
doing
gets off,
nothing.
yeah, it gets part of it off, but it doesn't,
I mean, it's not gonna get everything, but
it's like a grease, that stuff, it's
It's
nasty.
horrible. It seems like you could just, let's start at the back end,
Well,
and then a lot of
if you think of it
sparkles.
logically, salt is a corrosive, and the magnesium is an oxidizer, so you're just eating
I
double.
know, but
One of them's putting a hole in it, the other one's eating it.
the
so-
argument's gonna happen, it's not gonna happen here, it's
No,
gonna
it's not.
happen somewhere else,
Well,
unfortunately.
there's enough
In the
lawsuits-
end, we
there's
just
enough
wanna make
lawsuits
sure we
going
have all
that
the
say
money.
This
they
number
stop
may
using
have to
it.
be
Oh, really?
adjusted
Right.
to.
They're being
something
sued
to
all
get
over
to
the
there.
place.
Right.
for stuff.
That's what we're talking
Yep.
about.
Right.
This is for the tanker now.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're talking about.
right,
And then you'd have to talk about the 3.0
right,
in 5 years, because there's 355.
right,
And
but
then
that
you need
also,
400.
right,
We don't know what they need, and it could be,
Magnesium, no.
something could be
Yeah, it
different
might
by
change
then.
a lot by then, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you
The-
gotta start putting
the
it
key numbers are what's going on for the next year, because that's,
Any chloride.
It is,
That's
but
what's
I
on that.
have a problem with, they're already appealing and fundraising for an ambulance and whatever else it is that we don't, or we have not historically agreed to provide, to now say, well, we have historically provided this for you, but now you have to come up with another 30 grand,
I think it's all
40
negotiable.
grand, 50 grand, I don't know, however much.
I have
it
no
ends up
problem being a 35-year member of the fire department, asking the
I
fire
know.
department if they can ask for money for a new piece of equipment. It doesn't put anything else out. If money comes in, it comes in. If not, then we go back to the taxpayers. But if you want to disagree, you're entirely fine to disagree.
So the appeal letter would have to be more specific to, you know, this is in addition to the taxes that you already pay,
I don't think you're
as
gonna write,
well
I don't
as
think
the
we're gonna write the
ambulance
appeal letter. I'm
fund.
just
No,
throwing,
no,
the-
no,
I'm,
no, we're not.
we're not, that's not up to the board of selectmen. All I'm saying is, if we're gonna ask the taxpayers to come up with a bunch more money, I have no problem asking if people can privately fundraise for things, same way the library, everybody else fundraise. If we can get it fundraised through donations, and we don't have to raise as much taxes as 10% or something of the cost of a big project, I have no problem with asking people to see if they can get donations to do it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. In the same way, the town is gonna backstop if frame rust on 3.0 next year, the town will come up with the money to fix the truck. It always has, it always will. But if there's another way to run money to get these things done, let's do it.
And I would think, in the same fashion, while they have always, the fire department has always raised the money for a new ambulance, God forbid something happened to the ambulance and it was out of service immediately for some reason, I think the town would come up with the money to get a new ambulance, if that's what it came to. I mean, historically, these are the way some of these things have happened, but that,
Right, well, that's what I'm just wondering,
that
is,
doesn't mean that
as
that,
I
that
understood
it's.
it, the ambulance was their responsibility, so they would have to have savings in their coffers to pay for that ambulance if something happened to it, but now you're saying,
Well, I mean, I think, well, is the town not gonna have an ambulance?
well, I can't imagine I wouldn't, but
So I
I'm
think,
just trying to get the,
I would think the
historical
town would
timeline of
backstop
who's
if
responsible
that's what
for
it
what.
came to. I'm not suggesting that.
Usually when the ambulance breaks down, we go to our good friends in Goshen and we borrow their second ambulance. But if our fire truck breaks down, we can't go to our good friends in Goshen and say, hey, can we borrow your fire truck? 'Cause they're gonna need that.
because they have their own fire truck.
Bunker Hill's pretty steep.
Okay, so we're back to the plan.
So this is still, we have other,
Things,
in the capital projects now.
right,
Before we move on, I just
Yeah.
wanna say that even if we don't get further money for this truck this time around with the tanker, just for future, I just think that we have 3.0 that's gonna need replacement or work done soon, and then just a few years after that, we got the rescue truck to follow right up behind it.
Should be every 5 years approximately.
Every 5 years, yeah, but it seems, according to this, you're already pushing 3.0 off another year.
The rescue truck though is not in the same price category as,
It'll be slightly less.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be less.
it's not,
How much was it?
it'll be half or a little more, somewhere's in there for a
Right.
rescue truck.
And that'll be in the 21-22 plan if we were to continue this.
21, 22, 22, 23. I mean, what we're looking at is going up from $40,000 a year for fire equipment to be, by the end of this plan, to be up to $100,000 a year for fire equipment until we get past that rescue truck.
Right.
And it may be the trucks, for planning purposes, have to last 21 years. If they die at 18, then that's, all
Right.
butts are off. But
Right.
if we can make them last, as I said, we have town trucks that are lasting 17 instead of 15 years. If we can get more out of them, we will. If we have to readjust, then we'll readjust. But we are looking at more than doubling the amount of money we're putting in, up to about $100,000, which should get you the 3.0 and the rescue truck within a year of that 20-year mark. I mean, I was hoping we would get 25 years. We're gonna be more closer to 20 years because of the salt.
Right.
And who knows, maybe the manufacturers are gonna come up with a solution to this, because it's
I would
an
hope so.
industry-wide issue. It's not unique to fire apparatus and highway,
Right?
it's the entire.
I mean, I've campaigned,
anybody driving on the road in any kind of vehicle is having a problem.
Right. So maybe there will be some
Right.
sort of solution to address.
right, I mean, I know a lot of people are dissatisfied with what that product is not just doing to the vehicles, but what it's doing to the road base itself. I mean,
Roads,
on your way down
culverts.
125, it's a result of the same product, and that's been brought up to
Yeah,
our,
all the underground
official.
culverts are rotten out too, yeah.
in the bridges. So, I mean, it's
Yeah, right.
millions of dollars, not just hundreds of thousands. So anyway, thank you all for your work. I think our commitment is to try to get out, and I think this is different than when we were in the fall. We're committed to going out to bid, getting a truck ordered in this cycle. And we'll figure that out better as the year goes on. But if you can get your bid specs, and we'll still have to talk how that works with that schedule as far as, we can't commit to contracts until the town meeting goes through this all and the Board of Finance digests this.
So you just gotta work back from that date
Right,
and figure out what date you need to put it out to bid.
yep,
If that's, how we're gonna work it, then that's. how
And
we gotta
and
work.
also how long the bid, a part of the bid spec that you put out could be that you want, if you put the bid out in January,
Yeah,
maybe the thing we need to do is include in the bid spec, you want the number to be good until X, when the town's gonna vote on the money.
if you go past what their standard is, which I believe is 90 days,
I think.
if we try to push out 120, they're gonna tack 4,000 onto the truck. If you go out
They're gonna-
farther than that, they're gonna tack more onto the price, just to cover their own keisters. That, That's how the game's played. So it's not gonna really gain us, it may cost us in the long run if we can get it in that length of time, within that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a valid,
All right, we'll work on all that. Yeah, with you guys, but if we,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you guys. for
Right,
all
no,
the
I think
information.
it's all doable, so,
Yeah, it's just easier to do it now than
right,
hindsight,
Right.
especially with the stuff coming up.
right, and but it's your thought too, we should just, I mean, even though 3.0 is having more rust problems, that we should push ahead with this tanker and just get that done before, I mean, it's easy to say, well, let's go look at that one. But
Right.
we'll
I mean,
keep pushing for the
30
tanker.
years, we got our money's worth.
Right,
You know,
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I wish my cars were less good.
so are you saying that, I mean, should we be looking at replacing 3.0 instead of the tanker?
no, we're
If
not quite.
anything, he's saying we should
No.
replace
In a
3.0 a
perfect
year
world.
earlier than what we're already planning on.
In
Okay.
a perfect world, that tanker would already be here.
Right,
Right.
Looking
right.
at 3.0.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
good night.
Have a good night.
Okay.
On to the rest of the capital plan.
All right, so, back up to the start, $275,000. Jim felt we should increase the road amounts over what we had been 250. We have to still do some reconstruction, and this would be a more realistic figure to get around everywhere in 5 years. And again, that's a planning.
Reconstruction where?
There's a little
Just
bit
everywhere?
of, up in north end of Town Street needs to be rebuilt. So this 275 would be for asphalt.
So where does that happen? Down here in 2020?
No, this is the current year, 275, top figure, right-hand column.
Over here.
He's talking about West Cornwall and Cornwall Village.
Right. And that's finishing.
No, that's what's here, but you're talking about North Cornwall.
Right, but this would also, we should put it, maybe put some North Cornwall, there's some areas.
So we're adding additional roads.
I don't think it really matters. The point is that.
We have groups. This is a group of roads, this is a
I
group of
understand- I
roads. But if
understand
we're
that.
adding extra roads, then we need to say we're adding 25,000 because this group of roads needed this much extra work.
Well, this is finishing up the North Cornwall area, because we didn't finish all the roads in North Cornwall, so we can put North Cornwall in there also. So there's the end, there's Cherry Hill, there's,
Can we just pay for Cherry Hill? Or that's
not the entire section, not the entire length, Town Street, end of Town Street, end of Cream Hill, Rattlesnake. So there's a few roads up there, plus West Cornwall and Cornwall Village.
That's why the next one, we're gonna go up 50,000,
Right.
because the point is, we can't get done. We
Right.
can't get 20% of the town done on $250,000. I think
Right.
that's what you're saying, is
Yeah,
So when we come back around again, 21, 22,
we should
this
have,
will already be caught up with.
right, and we'll just basically be sealing, we won't
So
have
we
to
know.
do the major reconstruction like we did on Bolton Hill Road this year.
Well,
It may,
I think we'll find some other roads that are gonna need it. I
But we're-
mean, you're being optimistic,
Get
and
rid of
I'm
the
all,
salt.
I'm all for it, but I think there's a,
Yeah, it's not gonna go down.
but we're catching up, they're not crumbling. So
Right.
the main thing is we want to keep our infrastructure in good repair. And it
Absolutely,
may cost us
absolutely,
more to do
absolutely.
it. And again, as a planning document, we may find in 2019 that we're able to do it for 300,000 and we don't need 325.
that's, I like that, but
We'll see.
I'm all for that.
There's all those things to do. So that's Jim's request, is to
Yeah.
increase that to 275.
And the backhoe, where are we with the backhoe?
The backhoe, all right, if we go down line by line, we have 275 for the roads, road improvement. We have,
We were saving money on the bridges from what we thought, the bridges and culverts.
yeah, what Roger found with his borings was there's good news and bad news. He hasn't quite got the final thing, but he basically found when he did the borings on the Gravel Bank Bridge and on Flat Rocks Bridge, he found that there's basically big boulders in the subsoil. It wasn't all loose fill. What you don't want to have is like loose bank run gravel, like a gravel bank. So that makes it easier to put in what he calls a spread footing.
Gives
And
you
put
that better base.
It makes it a better base to tie into. What you don't want to do is have a lot of loose stuff that then you have to put in big piles like we did down in West Cornwall. So he hopes with that he could do a final, that the cost of that bridge on Flat Rocks will be under $180,000.
Right.
So we have 150 in the budget right now. Another 30 gets you up to 180. Okay, school,
They just get 40.
right.
Wait, budget time, we get their
The break,
capital.
yeah, and I have
ideas
to
of
talk
what
to
they
them,
want.
they should give us something, they should give the Board of Finance a report on,
They do that at budget time though, like they
Right.
just break it all down.
but they should also give us something for this town meeting,
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
what they can likely spend that on.
Yeah.
We've just heard about the tanker. I'm comfortable with 65, knowing that that's probably a low number that will have to be adjusted once the bids come in.
And how does that get adjusted? So the town meeting comes up, we say, yeah, 65,000. They
This
come
is-
back and
this
they
is
say
just
we
the
need
planning.
85. Where does the extra 20 come from?
It comes at the
30,
budget
whatever.
season.
Okay.
Because what we're gonna find out, see, this is just a likely expenditure. That number may be low, but we may find out, like for the backhoe, the number that Jim got for the backhoe was $100,000 for a new backhoe. But we don't know what the trading, definitely there, we're trading in our backhoe. The range on the backhoe trading was between $15,000 and $30,000. So the likely cost of the town, total cost will be somewhere probably closer, the net cost will probably be closer to 80. But we won't know until we actually have somebody sign a contract.
But so at
But
that,
again, at budget season, we're gonna have better numbers as far as the bridge, as far as the backhoe, and as far as the fire truck. So then if we have to then put, say, another 40, or instead of 65, we have to put in 40, maybe we take 20 out of the backhoe comes in less, we take 20 out of the reserve, or we have to raise taxes $20,000 to make that fire truck happen. But at this point,
Or possibly they raise some money.
maybe they raise $30,000.
right.
Maybe,
So that's my
maybe they have enough
question.
money. Maybe they have enough money for the ambulance already.
If it doesn't happen and and there's no money
Right.
there, we would take some savings from somewhere else
Well-
and shift the money to.
Well, I think
this
it's
line
also,
item
it's
instead.
also gets up to the Board of Finance, because we have a couple of things revenue-wise that are probably gonna be working in our direction in the next couple of years. We've seen the high school numbers are probably going down, mirroring the decline in enrollment of CCS. That's good. We're also trying to collect some back taxes from some long-term accounts. That's good. So we may be able to take some of this extra revenue and put it towards some of these capital things. I think clearly the message tonight, and if Jim was here, he'd give you the same message, that because of the salt, our trucks, which we have millions of dollars worth of trucks, are rotting, and that's a huge drain on the reserves of the town.
My truck is in the shop right now because of that. So.
That's the message of this thing. So we're
I know.
we're gonna keep the plows, we're gonna keep the fire trucks, but it's an adjustment in the near term for the next couple of years. But then you also look down the road, there's some other things that may counterbalance. But once you get past 5 years, who knows what the state aid's
Right.
gonna be? Who knows what the tax structure?
You know, what's interesting to me is that the figure, this ballpark figure of 100,000 on the backhoe, is that a real
Right.
number?
Yeah,
That almost sounds like a good deal compared
yeah,
to 400,000
it does.
for a
I
fire
mean, you
truck,
think-
or,
Right,
you know, 40,000 for a pickup truck, or 165,000 for a plow truck, 100,000 for a backhoe seems like a great deal. It gets used all the time,
right,
all the time. It probably gets used almost every day.
it does. Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's good news. I was expecting to see a second year necessary to fund the backhoe.
So I think also one thing I tried to do too was to know that we had to increase our capital funding, not do it all in 1 year. Now
It goes up a lot in those 5 years.
it goes up a lot, but also if it goes up from where we are now, we're 500,000 at this point. We go up 150,000 a year from 500 to 465. It's
645.
645. Significant. It's whatever that is, 25% increase.
We have some
And a lot of
robust
it is
needs,
roads.
and I think that, yes, that is a significant increase.
Right.
But these are real needs.
Oh, I know, we've had all the reports on the roads and the bridges and the culverts and the,
And the good thing too is with this, I mean, down to the bridges, if that works out and we can actually get somebody to do that, and the gravel bank bridge is a little bit longer but is narrower, if we can get 2 of those bridges done, and then work on the Smith Place Bridge, which is the next one coming up, and that should be in 20. Those are the 3 most critical bridges. So then if we are hit with an extra fire truck or something happen, at least we've addressed the bridges at the same time, and we're not going to get hit with a bridge bill, a fire truck bill, and a town truck bill at the same time. So it's a bit of a balance.
and I
So,
like the 20,000 staying in the town building account line. I know we're spending a lot on it now, but so hopefully as we go along, we can just keep the
Right.
maintenance going on it so you don't end up with these giant bills in the end.
right, but we're looking at, potentially roofs on the firehouses, roofs on this building, roofs, salt storage shed, those would probably be 15, 20 pop. Then again, this is just an expenditure projection, not a taxing document.
Right. But so you go,
So,
2019-20, you add 10,000, so we're 30,000 there. But you go 20 to 21 and you're up to 75,000 on town building. So what's the thought there? What do you think in 4 years is gonna need to
Where are you?
happen?
Which-
Down
Last year,
2020 to
75,000 for the
2021.
buildings. I would
You
think
get
a
down to
couple of roofs,
75,
I would imagine that's what we're talking, the roof on this building.
but
the
he's
roof on-
already saying we're doing roof.
Oh, I don't-
that's a good catch. I'm not sure that's correct. I don't think I had that.
You mean
in
that to
the
be
thinking.
25,000?
Yeah. So, but I also don't think the capital needs, you can pick your spot.
Oh, I know. You could, like you said, you could spend 15,000 on a roof here, so then we're only left with 5,000 in the budget maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a mix. Yeah, it should be 30,000 for the town buildings and 75 for the town truck. So we flip those around.
Oh, that would make more sense.
Right, because my thought is if we get to a point where we're spending $100,000 on fire and 75 on highway, that's about what we're gonna have to do for the next future.
Perpetually.
It's 100.
You're saying switch those. When I would,
Yeah,
to be honest with you, it wouldn't
It's-
surprise me to need 75,000 on the
on
buildings.
something.
On the building,
Yeah.
yeah. At some
But at this point, they look better than trucks.
yeah.
All right, so, so the other thing that came up was John Laporta said he would be in favor of pursuing this shed at the transfer station to cut down the bulky waste by recycling building products. And he'd be willing to oversee the construction process. Right now,
Which means what?
there's putting up a shed building,
Yeah, so
And
what
they-
does
they
he
would
have
take-
to do?
usable windows, doors, big, otherwise thrown out bulky waste product, but mostly construction material, sinks, and just have them there so they wouldn't get carted off to the Chicopee landfill and be treated as bulky waste.
Right, I understand.
So
the
you
point
basically
of
build
the
up a very,
building, but what's Jim gonna do?
John?
John?
Is gonna work on the concrete and be a construction manager, so we can put up a fairly inexpensive fairly small building to store all this.
Why can't Jim just do that, or Steve? I mean,
Well, I mean,
is
this
it
is,
gonna be
they need materials, they need,
involved
I mean, they're not gonna be
anyway?
building it while they're on duty, they get a volunteer crew together, build a shed for recycling at the transfer station. They need materials, they need concrete, they need lumber.
Okay, so we're adding that in
We
where?
could put another 10 into this year's, I mean, the advantage of that is that we probably will, if you eliminate one dumpster a year, which is probably a lot more than that,
Mhm.
you know, that's worth $800 to the town, so the thing would pay for itself. Probably 5 to 10 years,
So
keeping
we
stuff
need-
out of the waste stream.
We need to put in a concrete pad.
Right, and we have
And
10,
what's the building gonna be? Is it just gonna be open on 4 sides with a roof, or?
probably have siding on 2 or 3 sides.
And this is gonna go where?
Sort of where the tires are now, I believe,
Okay.
to be determined. South of the existing building, south side of the packet.
Okay.
in there.
10 by 10, 15 by 15.
Yeah, 20 by
And it's gonna cost 10,000?
10, 15. We already have 5,000 for equipment in the capital budget right now. We could have 10 start, see what they can do for 10. They can have a fundraiser.
The dump can have a fundraiser?
Sure. They can recycle their own materials to build their own building. That'd be cool.
Turn in some of them cans.
So they have
5,000.
5,700?
Yeah.
And
If we put
upgrades,
in
they have
10.
another 1,100.
Yeah, but if we put the 5,000 from the equipment in there, that'll give them 15. You can build a pretty good building even with concrete for 15. And if it doesn't happen this year, it can happen next year.
And John is volunteering his
He's volunteering to
time? Really?
oversee the deal.
Wow.
I think it's all doable. I think also it would cut down, it would save the town money, it would also put some resources into another area besides
Yeah,
this,
I know the
this where we put everything.
the amount of recycling that people put out and then people take or need
Right.
is
And
amazing.
it saves the town a lot of money. So let's add that, if that's okay. You can sense
So
that,
16, 17,
yeah,
what do we
Put
want to
it-
call it?
add recycling building.
Recycling building.
So,
For 10?
10,000. Just this year, that's it, and there's nothing going forward at this point.
at this point.
Okay.
And again, there may be a few things that come up, but unless it's $10,000 is the minimum expenditure that gets onto the plan.
So that bumps
Because we
our,
don't have any plans for this yet. No plans, no bids, no nothing.
that bumps
We
us
have
up to
no idea.
565.
565. Okay. Any other changes to the plan as it sits? We will meet just before the Board of Finance, but I would like to send them a document that we've approved tonight, not that we can't vote to change it before we meet one more time before the town meeting, the night before the Board of Finance meeting. So I would like to send them something that at least gives them, and I'll write some explanation of why this has gone up substantially over last year's plan.
I think we
Okay.
beat it to death in an hour and a half.
Okay? So I'll make a motion, we approve this draft with the addition of $10,000 for recycling building and the change at the bottom, the
2020,
2021.
Second?
Okay? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Just spend a lot of money.
So,
It's good money though. It's going for good stuff.
planning. Okay, now. We done yet?
No, we
No.
just started. That was number one. on the-
That's number one. Okay, anybody still awake out there? All
Yep.
right, next highway report. Highway department didn't come back from New York, I guess.
I have a question on it if you're gonna move
Okay.
forward. I saw on the inland wetlands agenda, there was a question about Valley Hack Road drainage, what's going
Right.
on there?
Jim wants to put a pipe across at a driveway there. They're getting sheet flow out of the driveway onto the road. It's like halfway down the hill, so that instead of having the water go all the way down the hill, if you put a pipe across, it would divert it. So that's one of his ideas.
But the homeowner won't be responsible for
Well,
any
it's
of that cost?
part of it's from the road, probably half of it's from the road,
Oh.
and the driveway is historic. So it's more to catch, because you have a bank on the right-hand side going down there. You can't shed water off on the right-hand side going down.
Okay.
Just take from the right over to the left, so it's mostly road drainage, just past the driveway. And it's a problem when you have driveways coming into roads that are higher than the road.
Yeah.
But, so that's a
And this is a
plan.
pipe to cross the road, to go
Right.
into the road and
Mhm.
put it into the,
Can you,
whatever
can
the
you,
brook
can you
is
tell me
there.
where it is? Is there an address or
Uh,
number, house number?
it's- Be the second it'd be past the second driveway on Valley Hack Road on the right-hand side.
Okay, and that got tabled?
I don't know I mean, I think Jim's talked to Karen about it. I'm not sure if we even actually applied, so I know it was,
Oh,
I'm not sure
I
how.
just read the agenda and it said
Yeah.
tabled based on staff recommendations, so I didn't know.
Ah, so I guess that
happened.
that's not moving forward, probably this construction year.
Okay.
We are, what's he doing? He's got the graders moving up to Flat Rocks. Grading's gonna happen. We've been using the material screener at the gravel pit, and we've been mixing, sifting out our own sand. There's quite a pile now throwing down at the highway garage of our sand, so we'll probably look at replacing about half the purchased sand
For winter maintenance?
for winter road sand.
Oh, nice.
So we're also about to dig into a old pile of sand that's down there from road sweepings from years ago. So that's worked out really well. And I forgot what we rent it. It doesn't cost us much to rent the machine. We do have to truck it back. But last year, I believe we spent
To rent the screener, you mean?
what?
To
We
rent the
have to,
screener?
we have to transport the sand from the gravel pit back to our garage.
Our
We're-
guys doing it?
Our guys doing it with their
Uh,
truck.
okay.
So it's tying up one guy to run the screen, one guy to run the truck, but in probably we're gonna have it come back in November, so probably by that time we'll have enough to fill up the shed. So in 2 weeks, we'll probably have half of our sand supply.
Good.
So that'll be good. So doing that, and they're doing drainage is a big, grading is a big thing, and also they have, trying to get the vacuum truck to suck out some of the catch basins. So that's the thing, he has talked to Josh about replacing that culvert up on Town Street, and see if that works or not up there.
One that overflow.
There's one up on College Street, one you said had a dip in it, they cut, but they haven't pulled it out.
There's like 4 when they have a dip,
So-
so.
So anyway,
You said Town Street, but you
I'm
meant
sorry,
College Street?
College Street. There's one he's talking about replacing up there, might have Josh do it. 'cause
Probably
he's
the
pretty
one at the
busy.
swamp is the worst.
Right,
Yeah.
so I think that's about it for the
So does
highways.
he have the vac truck scheduled, or he's just trying to get
Yeah, I
it
think the vac truck
before
comes in
everything
after
freezes?
he takes the screener back, so I'd imagine you can have 2 people running the vac truck, 2 people grading, and 2 people running the screener. So the vac truck would come in after the screener goes back. So these are all COG bought
That's-
equipment,
Jim running something, not just supervising, right?
absolutely. So we only got 4, so he's either probably on the back truck around, he's probably doing the grading.
Yeah, but still trying to keep up with what else is going on.
Right. So, but anyway,
He's
we're,
busy.
all right, town meeting call,
Cut that out.
October 30th. So,
It's a simple one. So that's just to accept the town report
right,
and the plan that we
Yeah,
Bastion.
town report is not actually voted on, it's just reviewed.
Review the report.
Because it's the only thing that's really, I mean, the town meeting can't change the reports or the audit,
So that's
but it
the-
can change the capital plan.
That's the difference between receive the reports and accept the reports.
Right.
But they have something to read, right?
Yeah, we will have the new town
It's
report.
already
at the
there,
meeting.
yeah.
Right.
Just that night, will it be available before?
Yeah, hopefully the week before. But we have a new auditor who is gonna have some comments about, I mean, she's taking a fresh look at everything, so it's taking her a little longer.
Who's
'Cause-
that?
Somebody, from Bridgeport, from Danbury. I've met her, but I can't remember what her name is. But anyway, the Board of Finance went out to bid, and now we have a new auditor that's doing last year's financials, so it's taking a little bit longer because.
So
new
that was
person.
gonna be my question, how does this new person come on board? It's the Board of Finance's
Board of Finance,
responsibility
it's
to
absolutely,
contract with whoever our auditor's gonna be?
And I think
Yeah.
there also was a recommendation or suggestion that after 4 or 5 years, or whatever the time frame was of the current
Yeah, it makes
auditor,
sense.
Right.
to have a
The new
different
person.
auditor to take a look at it.
Right, we just didn't talk about it, so I didn't know who, like,
Yeah,
how
the
did that
board-
happen?
yeah, the Board of Finance incorporated that into their budget for this year, and she was selected this spring by the Board of Finance to do the budget. And they are actually also responsible for the town report. The only thing that has to be in the town report is the audit.
Right.
All the rest of it's
I know,
just,
but we like to have the rest of it,
it is nice.
because we're good.
Okay, so,
7:30 is the time.
ooh,
Whoa.
could we, little point, did we, I thought the school wasn't available.
It's not. Did I write the wrong one in there?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
historically, that's when we do it, right, 7:30 at the school?
Right, but they are doing something. What are they doing?
Dance, the regional dance.
Ah, they got to dance. Sounds like almost as much fun as the town meeting. So we'll need to,
Change that.
we'll make
So
that
it's gonna be
change.
here?
Be here.
In the big.
At 7:30.
town hall, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Joyce, can I just ask you, did you get any requests from Nikki for, because the 3 churches in town have a movie planned for that evening?
No, haven't heard anything from Nikki.
Okay.
What time is the movie?
7:30.
You wanna go for 7?
The other problem is already in the Chronicle.
Where in the Chronicle does it say?
Okay, well, good to
Calendar or
it's in the right
something?
time.
On the back page, it says 7:30 in the briefs.
But does it say the school already?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have to put a sign up there anyway.
Let's put a sign up at the school.
You can't change the time to 7 o'clock. Be tough
Right.
enough to
Yeah.
get people showing up there at 7:20, 7:25 and running them down here.
Yeah.
Right. But if you said, oh, we're done.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that what it takes, right, 5 minutes?
Right.
That could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
You can make it later, but you can't probably make it earlier.
Yeah, if anything,
Right.
we should run this, you could say
Well,
7:30 here, but
We
start it
can, we can start it,
a little
yeah.
late.
right.
You know, start at 5 minutes late to get some
Yep.
late showers, uppers to
Mm.
make it down from the school. Maybe
Okay,
even have-
and we'll need to, yeah, we'll put that on to the.
I can imagine somebody showing up at the parking lot to go to the town meeting figuring.
With that many cars?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, there's some
excitement going on.
It's gonna be a great meeting.
Jeez, I didn't think the capital plan was gonna be that.
What's going on in 5 years?
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we sign the town meeting call and the return of notice as,
Or we can't. do
With the
this.
correction of the
Correction.
location.
we can sign this one. This is the return of notice, we can sign that, but we gotta change the other one at the end of the meeting. This just says we're gonna put it in the paper. So we gotta do that. And then, we'll do that, and then we'll do this when we get down to the town report. Okay,
Is there a second?
second.
We're gonna have this meeting in the year 20,115.
Mhm.
You got an extra one in there.
Okay,
Did you vote? Aye.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let's see, we have now, town office renovations, we got a, email from Paul late today, which says,
So based on Paul's recommendation, it's,
Going mid-grade.
yeah, it sounds like mid-grade clad outside, wood inside.
Yeah, which looks nice, and it'll probably last longer. And I like his idea about taking care of the siding too, because then that's gonna be our next issue.
That's not part of this bid though, at this point in time.
right,
Right, no, this is his also a concern.
do we have that file, Joyce, that has all the actual bids in them?
That's mine's in the car.
Which you can see how 20,000 gets chewed up.
Yeah, I guess what I would wanna know is this 15,000, which, brand name window was he thinking, cause he didn't say. Cause we had some quotes on some good windows, some good brand names, and some that were not so good.
Why don't you start with that?
For the next step, our contract may require food. That's what we were talking about, was which company
It doesn't say,
was.
it doesn't recommend.
Which is about 15.
It's in front of us.
Those look like they're vinyl outside, primed white inside, so you need to hire somebody to paint them. And it also includes replacing the trim. Seventh inning stretch, come on.
Okay,
So
so,
is he saying he will replace, remove, also remove
siding casings, reapply them,
Yeah, 2-inch
trim outside.
oral sills.
cut the sills, get new sills. So what does that guy say?
Is it the same, what other kind of windows are on here? The cheap ones were
Walcott?
Walcott and Marvin
Marvin
Integrity. Of course, not the same.
I
These are
know.
Anderson,
Well, here, Marvin Ultimates.
here's Integrity.
Exterior wood, interior. Here's exterior wood, pre-painted interior. These are pre-painted too, these are just primed.
That's all it's gonna be, they're not gonna be painted. That's just primed.
They say pre-painted, it's just primed.
How do they know what color to paint them?
I would argue that. Your quote says pre-painted.
Marvin does sell painted ones. I've had them for 24 years and never touched them.
That aren't primed,
paint-wise.
it's not primed, it's actual paint on the Marvin
On
Integrity.
the Marvins.
That one says
Total
pre-primed.
integrity 18. It's kind of hard because he doesn't mention which estimate he's speaking about. He just talks about cost of windows, so. it's
Well, what he
confusing.
said, I talked to him on the telephone tonight, or this afternoon, and he said that the prices are fairly similar, and it was up to us to pick a contractor. It does seem, well, if it's your preference to go with
Well, what
the
did Tom
Marvin.
look at? He has.
what, Tom has,
Marvin, so go Marvin Integrity, let's
Right.
look apples to apples.
Yeah,
Marvin
he-
Integrity,
he
he's saying
was,
it's vinyl outside, they're only gonna be primed inside.
right, but he's also includes,
He's doing all the trim work, inside and outside.
so he's 14,120.
So, right, round it up to 15, okay.
Well,
So this other guy, Marvin Integrity's
These are
pre-painted.
full frame is 18, inserts 18. Our Integrity fiberglass,
Not bad.
18.
Does he have a scope of work about what he's gonna do? It's gonna trim the exterior with the same thing, prime and paint. Seal them, insulate them. So he does all of this for 7,500. Then he add the windows.
And plus 900 plus down here the entry door.
Oh,
900 for
this is to get
additional.
the casement and the entry door. Okay, so all of these would add up to whichever version you wanted to go with.
Yeah, so labor, I guess is 11.
Yeah, and then add the window at 66, yeah, so you end up at 18.
Additional 900, just additional 900 for something.
It's this window.
No, yeah,
Yeah, because here you got entry doors. Are this much,
oh, okay, yep, yep.
right? And so
yeah,
additional
yeah,
is
yeah.
this stuff. And then this is this stuff.
Yeah. 10, 11, 5. 15, 1, yeah, that's it.
And his quote at 15 doesn't include these other windows or doors, right?
I think it does.
It did.
Oh, it
Definitely
does.
the door,
Oh,
yeah.
that's what, he calls them different things, but that's what these are, okay.
Based on, they're both Marvin
Integrity.
Integrity. His may not include the painting of a couple of the
Yeah,
windows.
he underlined primed.
Does he say he's gonna paint them or not? Tom do painting?
Yeah, but it's not included in this price.
yeah.
Screens are included. Are the screens included on these?
It's pretty standard.
I think it's the same unit, isn't it? We both buying the same unit.
Hopefully.
I'd say, I would suggest that, let's recommend we go with Tom, accept Tom's bid.
So that a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept Tom Wolf's bid of, well, the Marvin Integrities,
Integrity 14,129.40.
and it includes the bath,
Bathroom and the assessor window.
right,
The final one,
Oh, yeah, 14,129.40.
was a bid of 14,129.41.
but it doesn't answer the question of, I get this is the window in the assessor's office, the casement window. His
That includes
recommendation,
the assessor window.
his recommendation is to replace the assessor's window and then cut a hole in the
Well,
wall to put the AC in permanently.
mhm.
Is there a way to do that in
Yeah.
there? Alright, well, it's, there may be something unforeseen in doing that, but that's part of remodeling. Do we have the money to do this?
I wonder who's gonna worry about that. We have right now $29,759 in
No,
town building account. I think that we're not, this does include the bill from Decker and Beebe. Does not include the celebrated hatchway or the second round of asbestos removal. So I wanna just make sure, I wanna give you an accounting of that at our next meeting, I think. We should be good. I mean, I don't think
we
we,
have 29, this is 15?
Right.
yeah,
15.
14,129.
right,
So at least
I don't
it's
think-
15, I think we should have
Right.
20.
we should have plenty. I think the installation was like 9,000 total.
Can we negotiate this? Can we ask him to paint the inside of the windows? 2 coats? We're choosing him over another contractor? To stay
That's what he
local
paints,
and included in the price.
included in the price.
The thing is though that this price is that amount.
Well, then what's his price to paint?
Well, how much
Well,
more?
I think he bid us on a spec, he didn't,
Well,
It is high.
so did they supposedly.
I know, there's.
How are these guys getting windows that are pre-painted and he's only getting them pre-primed?
well, we'll have to find out what Marvin does. I mean, it's gotta be the same thing. It would have to be.
Or negotiate with him?
Or find out how much more it would cost to get the pre-painted windows
Right.
inside.
Right.
Because it's probably gonna cost more money. Seven windows painted inside.
They bake the finish on, it really pays to buy the window,
Right,
That
so whether
way.
it comes from them that way or we have
yeah. I mean,
them painted, like,
if you had a choice, it would be
we're not
a
apples
lot
to
better
apples
to buy
here.
them from them, because as I said, the finish is baked on.
The only one you don't have is the one you're looking for.
He doesn't have the stuff in that little paragraph.
So,
There's, Stone white interior, exterior. Huh. Exterior, white interior, pump stash. Interesting. It says white interior, stone white exterior.
Well, because the outside's vinyl.
Right. But it doesn't say,
White painted, light brown.
doesn't say what is white. Whatever, we can find that out. Yeah.
So do we make that motion contingent upon answers to some questions? It's your motion.
I don't know,
So the motion just to accept his bid for, Tom Lewis bid for $14,129.
Yeah.
And find out whether
Under
integrity,
discussion, there was that.
under integrity comes with a fully painted inside or not. Right. Whether it's possible to get those.
So how do you want the motion to read?
apples and oranges, isn't it? No conversation from the, either contractor.
Yeah.
So what are they quoting? I think we should find out whether they're painted or not, what kind of painting they are.
Right.
And, do we beat this into the ground at our next meeting, or do we accept it as what it is?
If we have, if the budget, we can make an assumption if if it's painted, not just primed, right? It can be painted and primed, not just primed. If it's painted, ready to go, and if we have, we have, this holds up. We have plenty of.
His bid is still $4,000 less than the other bid.
Right. I think we should get him in motion to get it, or else we're gonna be fooling around. And, I mean, the other question is how long, find out how long it takes him to, when can he fit it in?
Okay.
Construction.
I just don't know what a painter would charge to paint, 10 true divided light windows,
Right.
2 coats.
I don't know.
Is it $4,000? Is it
It's not gonna be
$8,000? I don't know.
$4,000.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've done it 1,000 times in my house. It's hard. I would charge a lot.
Yeah, but it's not $4,000. Okay. All right.
I think getting the baked on stuff would be the best bet if we can get it.
Right.
Yeah, done in a controlled environment in the factory.
Well, and then it's done too. Maybe you just have
Well,
to touch them up.
The motion assumes that it's a baked on factory finish and that we have, say, a balance, there'll be a sufficient balance left in our account. Now bear in mind, if we put these in, we've heard we're gonna get this line reimbursed through energy grants. So even if it's down to a couple $1,000, unless we spend some money, we may have $10,000 energy grants coming back. So that's good.
I thought we definitely had that no matter what. The 10,000.
Well,
and then
until it
grant
shows
was
up, nothing's definite until it's in the bank. But we
But it's
believe,
been committed to.
yeah,
so-
we, as much as anything can be definite, we think we have
Is this another one of those, you have to spend the money,
that. Right.
then submit the receipts?
Yeah,
to
Do
get
the
money?
work first.
I think they're all that way.
Yeah. So let's proceed with your motion with the assumption that this will be, the windows will be pre-painted and that we have a balance, that this won't draw that down. Say we have a balance of 20,000 after the installation.
So after this, we'll still have 20,000?
No, what I'm saying is we've already committed to do a bunch of insulation and asbestos work,
Yeah.
which I'm mentally thinking is about $9,000 worth of work. We have $29,000 in the account. If we do that insulation work and the asbestos work, that draws down to 20. We spend 15. We still have 5 left to do other things in the spring or whatever, maybe whatever pops up. But that will get us enough money. We do enough money at that point to start pulling some money back in from the grants, replenish the account for the spring. So I wouldn't want to draw that account down to $500 or something in case we need something. Okay, so you do need to write that all down.
So that's all in addition to the 20,000 per year that we're putting in the capital fund for town building repairs.
This is the 20,000, I think. This is the 20,000 we're putting into the,
Well, no, this is money that's already been allocated. The 5-year plan, which we already talked about, is for next year and the year after.
Right. So this was already allocated in capital budgets past, you're just hoping to get $10,000
Right.
reimbursed in it that we can then use
Again,
for something else, okay, good.
okay? So,
So how's the motion reading?
the motion is reading to accept Tom Wolf's bid under the assumption that this will be,
The windows will be repainted and you have a balance of 20,000 after the insulation work?
no, after installation, before we take
How do
on
you
this
want the
work.
motion to read?
that we accept Tom Wolf's bid of 14,000 and change.
129, assuming it includes the pre-baked finish paint on the interior, which is what you said.
Right.
Right?
And if
And
that
whatever
costs,
balance you want.
if that costs an extra,
Well, then we can revisit it at the next meeting, I guess.
Right.
But at least you can get caught.
And that there is sufficient funds in the account to pay for this.
There you go. Just go with sufficient.
Okay, any more discussion?
A second?
I'll second that. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Now, Paul, we bought him 4 cabinets, he sold 4 cabinets, and said a 5th will get him finished. So he wants a 5th cabinet.
A fifth $900 cabinet?
Correct.
will that be enough or is he?
That'll be it.
Does he need a 6th?
That'll be it.
Does it need to know right now? Can I stop in there?
So I make a motion, we
There's a lot of boxes that came out of,
allocate,
Well,
there's a
I
lot of
guess
boxes.
I had a lot of storage, he did have,
Right.
just like stuff stacked up there.
That you allocate,
that we authorize the building official to buy an additional fireproof cabinet as necessary to store his records.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, on to the Cub Scouts.
Take them all, please.
So the Cub Scouts and their supporters have recycled and brought down to Watertown approximately $823 worth of recycled things. We have to approve the money going to them because they're basically they're basically getting the use of our asset. So they're doing the work, they're taking stuff out of our waste stream. This is Cornwall /Goshen Cub Scout troop, and it's $823, so I'll make a motion that this is just a check, so that people don't just get the cash bottles out for whatever purpose. So I'll make a motion that we,
Did they take more?
sure.
Or that was just as much as they wanted and
That's
you were
as
done?
much as they got
The
at this
amount of
point.
time that somebody would commit to bringing them
They had a
down.
little project they wanted to cover their operating fees, so we were able to reduce the cost of scouting to some of their members.
Awesome. I'll second it.
there's no motion yet.
Yeah. $823
Sort
check
of.
to, $823 check to Pack 35 Cub Scouts
drive. So
I'll
other,
second that if that hasn't been seconded.
Heidi already
Heidi
jumped
seconded
on
it?
it.
Okay.
but other than that, who takes the bottles and cans to, is it Waterbury?
One town, the Chapel of All Saints, I think Hunt Williams did for quite a while for them.
Yeah, and then somebody else wanted to do it for a while.
Right, I think
We'll take them anytime, we always give the money back to the town, to the food and fuel bank, we never keep any of it.
But would we have to also approve that expenditure? I don't remember.
I
I remember
think
doing it
the-
to the school and
I
not to the
think
Cub
what
Scouts.
the difference was, which I shouldn't speak for somebody else, but I think the difference here was because this was going outside the town. Food and fuel bank can go
part of
directly,
the
it's
town.
town asset to a town account. This is going to a non-town account, which is why we have to put our stamp of approval on it.
It would be nice to make note of that somewhere though, like in the annual report, that the Chapel of All
Mhm.
Saints brought so many bottles to Watertown and put this much money into the food and
Right.
fuel account.
Well,
It'd be interesting to know how much,
generated.
yeah.
I'll talk to the recycling coordinator, see if he's finished his report yet or not. Okay,
Aye.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next thing is town report, so that's the last thing we have to do, is do that and re-sign the town meeting, so we can start on bills if Joyce would be good enough this late hour to fire up the word processor and redo those two documents.
Gordon, I just
Do we have any, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get the public comment, and did we have any other changes to the town report before
I
we?
thought I had some, hang on.
Oops.
In the second paragraph where we talk about like where the grant monies came from, we said a Bright Ideas grant for energy conservation. Do we want to make note that it was the Cornwall Energy Task Force that actually did the work to get it? Because they actually did the work, right? The task force, not us. So you just have to add, and a Cornwall Energy Task Force Bright Ideas grant for.
Is that really all one sentence? Wow.
Well, it's a list of things, so.
Right.
There's something else to say.
But also, it's,
Popple Swan Road.
that's a better name.
Popple
Maybe
Swamp.
we should change that.
The swan comes out.
That sounds better, Popple Swan.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
I think that sentence is long enough, I think we'll just note it whenever we get it, to give plenty of credit to the Energy Task Force.
Yeah, if you want, I just like to give other people credit that did the work.
Right. Okay. Any public comments?
So I guess that was enough.
Gordon, I wanted to ask you, you've been talking about a cistern on the green
Yeah,
in Cornwall Bridge.
Right.
How would that impact the use of a tanker? Because they were talking about moving the other tanker down to Cornwall Bridge. If you have the cistern there, would you need it? Or do you need the cistern if you're gonna move the tanker down there?
well, knowing the fire department, that they probably like to have both. I was, it's a little bit of a guessing game of what is gonna be on fire. But, the advantage of having a second tanker down there is if you had something, say, south of the village of Cornwall Bridge, that would get down there, whereas you couldn't really use the cistern other than right around the immediate green area. It would be useful for your guys' houses, but if we got, far down the road, you probably want to have something on wheels, I think.
You say a second tanker, but you mean
There's
it's a
talk,
second tanker to the town, because there'd be one in West Cornwall, one in,
Right.
not
There's-
two in Cornwall Bridge plus
No.
a cistern.
no.
It's one tanker, one cistern,
haven't
one
gone-
tanker.
Right,
Right.
and again, yeah,
Ultimately,
So-
you can never have enough water.
right.
Isn't that sort
No.
of?
But, or enough drivers, that's the only problem, you have so much equipment, you get to the point where you have more equipment than drivers. But, I mean, my thinking on that is if the town's already paid for it, seeing what new ones cost, that as long as we don't, town has put major money into it, if it helps, probably helps, because we probably won't get much for a trade, although that would be one thing we need to put out in the bid spec. It's one of the things where you buy a new tanker that will basically do the same thing, it will be $400,000, when they can trade it in, it'll be $10,000.
But the cistern, is that a grant or is that?
That's town tax money that we already have in the budget, it's already in the capital budget. And that has been applied to the state, they're kicking it, it's going upstairs in DOT to decide whether they want us to use the green for that purpose, because it's ought to be perpetual easement to do that, so they're deliberating on that.
There's no grant money for that kind of thing around?
Not that I've heard of.
Firefighting.
No, there is a firefighter's grant, and if we do that, which after, we do need to apply for another grant to do, buy new jaws of life. There's a firefighter's grant, and that seems to be the latest thought on that.
I would also point out that I don't think the board can expect any extra money from the declining enrollment at the CCS, because we will have a $12,000 increase because our Board of Education supported the superintendent's new plan. So Cornwall's share will be going up $12,000 despite the fact that we'll have a declining enrollment.
Okay, well, we'll find out all these answers during the winter. All right, so, let's see, budgets, town meetings, 275.
Is this the regular furnace or the reclaimed oil furnace?
Thank you.
So that's it, huh?
That's about it.
Okay.
Thank you.